So you might have seen my previous video where I upgraded from the GoPro Hero 5 to the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Obviously, as a result, I've had to do a few hardware upgrades to be able to cope with the 4K rendering on the new codec. Just thought I'd obviously share that with you. One of the biggest frustrations during this whole process is I actually established that this little kiddie is faulty. So by the time I actually realised that, my i5 processor was running extremely high temperatures. Took this off and I could hear gurgling inside it, where clearly there's been either a water leak or there's air that's got in. Not happy. Failed just less than a year old. So this time I'm actually running an air cooler, because at least if it fails, I know that the fan's failed, rather than thinking everything's working and then I'm slowly cooking my electrical components. So taking the plunge, I've gone for a 9000 series processor, an i7 9700K. So I've got the luxury of overclocking it if I want to do. I already had 16 gig of memory. I've had to upgrade to 32, but actually now I've started doing tests on Adobe Premiere Pro. It appears actually it's more memory efficient than Adobe Premiere Elements. So if you're considering doing obviously a lot of work on Premiere Elements, bear in mind it just eats memory, where Premiere Pro doesn't. Unfortunately, it's a bit more expensive. Twist is I'm using an ASUS MAXIMUS 10 board, and it's on the 370 chipset. So I've capitalized on the factors that everyone is upgrading to the 9000 series processors, and everyone's immediately jumping to the 390 chipsets. So I've got my hands on one of these at a sizable discount to help me along. So ultimately the upgrade has been a new motherboard, new processor, more memory. I've had to do the cooler because this cooler is packed up, but unfortunately as a result I've run out of space in my case. So I need a bigger case, and because it's for air cooling, what I've done is I've chosen to go with this bad boy, H700. I have not gone with the i, because I don't want the extra processing. I'll use the motherboard's controllers to actually control the fans. So, and it's already got RGB if I want to use it, so I'm not going to start paying extras. So once again, got a good price on this little kitty. So now I need to move everything over and then see how we get on. So I'm not going to bore you with the build. There's plenty of videos out there on the build, but what I'll do is I'll just show you how I get on and then what my stats are. Catch you later. this is what it looks like. So I could only fit one of the fans in the end, despite going to a bigger case, because of the height of the Corsair memory. By the time I put the fan on the cooler, there was a slight clash with the glass. So the key thing for me is if I was achieving temperatures, then I'd just leave it as a spare. It's a bit frustrating because I paid for it but I'm not using it. However, it is that ghastly brown, so actually the less the better. And I'm a bit annoyed that in order to get black I have to pay extra and have to swap the fans out, and I've already got too many spare fans as it is. So cooling wise, I went for the NZXT 700 because ultimately, like the design, I like the cooling strategy as well. It's closed on the outside, it's got the vents on the side. On the front there's enough gap to allow the air to go in, and actually these covers here, there is an inner plastic frame that actually is shaped to which actually helps the airflow. Did actually contemplate making something to guide the air in, but it's actually already in there, so there is some shaping in there which does help it, so it's not a totally flat panel, which was well thought out. The other thing as well is it's closed up the top, so I can still use top venting. Top surface stuff can be put on top, which as you can see, because the fact, bottom line is it's a flat surface, so crap's going to get put on top even if I don't want to. My alternative case was going to be the Define R6, predominantly one because it was nice, discreet. It had the option of the USB-C, admittedly for the extra £30. However, once you take the upper vent cover off, you've got a bit of an agricultural louvered panel, and I didn't like that. Didn't like that at all. So I've gone with this. I have lost my 5 1/4 base, so I am going to have to go out and buy a USB CD drive, because I do have various bits of media, and plus if I want to burn something on a disk to give to someone, I'm going to need the drive. But for me, operation or mission accomplished. I've got more space around the cooler, which means the unit can breathe. I put 3 fans on the front. They're Corsair SP120s. I've got SP120s at the back and at the top as well, so the whole thing's SPs. Reason why I've gone with SPs is because there is a mesh panel at the back, and running AF fans, I did notice that actually I could feel pressure on the wrong side of the fan, where the mesh was effectively restricting that fan. So with an SP, it will do what it's supposed to do ultimately. I've got 2 up the top and 1 on the back. Even though it's got space for 3 120s, I haven't put one at the front. Key reason here is, so I've got the key purposes. I've got 3 fans sucking the air in, so it's nice cool air coming in, or ambient temperature should I say. That in turn then feeds CPU cooler, motherboard cooling, RAM, graphics card, and what I have done is I'm obviously giving it a go. Follow an example from J2Sense, where he's mounted the power supply with the fan sucking the air from inside the tray, so it's not sucking anything in from outside. So all that's coming from the front, and what I'm running is an 850, so Corsair RM850, so the fan doesn't permanently run, it only runs when it needs to. So I'm not expecting that to compromise the internal cooling of the case. Key thing up the top though is, with the front fan is not there because I want the cool air to have an opportunity to feed the components and do what it's supposed to do, rather than being sucked in and then sucked straight out without doing anything, because I've got nothing to cool here. So if I did put a fan there, it would actually cause a vacuum right in front, and actually I wouldn't be feeding the equipment at the back. So did think about it. What I probably will do is actually make, design, do something but put some sort of ducting here, so it actually forces the air from the top fan down, so it actually concentrates the fan and the airflow from that fan where it needs to go, because currently, I mean, it's blowing in. I can feel the air moving, but I still like directed airflow, so it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Thing I like about this over the AIO cooler is if it stops working, I know about it because I can see it. Where the AIO, I thought it was working, and then I noticed my temperatures were going up, to then find that somehow, whether there was air in there before from new, no idea, but the key aspect was that the thing was running hot, and quite possibly that was actually causing my system not to perform, and as a result I've ended up spending shitloads of money upgrading everything as well. So that has to go back. Bit more traditional. I do like the this cooler though. The Noctua system is actually quite nice, and a bit of bling in there as well. I did opt for obviously a glass case. Every decent board has got RGB lighting, so I've got a nice ice blue colour scheme with a bit of red as well, so hope you like that as well. So that's the case. We've just run the benchmarks. Temperature wise, we're pretty much hitting maximum just below 80 degrees on the benchmarks, so I'm happy. So just to recap, so it's a NZXT H700 case. I'm running an ASUS MAXIMUS 10 board on a 370 chipset, so it's not the 390 to 370. To be honest, I'm amazed as soon as the 9000 chips were announced. Even if you look at the retail information, no 370 is actually being mentioned that it's compatible with the 9000 series chips. So if you are thinking about it, go to the manufacturer's website and check on there. You probably have to do a BIOS upgrade, which I did on this, but apart from that, this one works, and I've got over 5 gig overclock. Also got 32 meg Corsair red LED memory, and the CAS rating is CL15, and I'm running a 1060 GTX 6 gig graphics card by Palit. Nothing special, does the job, 150 frames per second. I'm happy with that. And my operating system, I'm running it, you can't see it because it's buried, but it's an M.2 Western Digital Black NVMe SSD, which is keeping the system very happy. Obviously one downside is I could only put 2 standard disk drives in it, so I've got 2 SSDs in the back, but I have got space for two more on here and the one here. I'm going to try avoiding filling those holes, but you never know, I'll probably have to get my cash out. So I hope you like this video. I don't know whether it's informative or not, but I thought I'd share it with you guys. Leave a comment below if you'd like to see anything else, or another iteration of what I'm doing. Drop a note. I'll have a look and see if I can do it. One thing I did think about doing was flipping this by 90 degrees and then sticking the second fan on. I won't do that right now. I might, but currently obviously temperature wise is fine, so, and it looks better this way, I think, and it's also airflow wise it's serving a purpose. But thank you very much.